The Angel and the Gargoyle by Michael Dante. Jacques Claude was afraid how his wife would respond to her gift. Last week he had suggested she take a new lover. That day she had excused herself from the breakfast table. Reading his paper, he had endured his wife's weeping. It moved him to listen to her. As she floundered about the house, he thought he heard the wings of an injured angel. Her nerves were so bad she couldn't even look at him. Against all odds, he hoped for her forgiveness. Not wanting to hurt her, he had gone back to the old habit of wrapping a bandage round his wounded brain, blocking out his pain with a bottle of Bordeaux. Today, however, was different. He prayed she wouldn't hold his words against him. Hopefully she might forgive the wretched ugliness of his love. A love he longed to make beautiful. Jacques' shoes were polished to black mirrors. His new suit had been cut by the finest tailor in Paris. He had bathed and shaved meticulously. It had taken him 3 hours to get ready. As he splashed cologne onto his freshly shaved throat, he felt only terror. All year he had been preparing for her birthday. As the day approached, he grew ever more restless. Only that morning he had collected the package from Madame Belrose's studio. How would he take it if she hated it? He dare not contemplate the number of francs he'd spent on her gift. Jacques straightened his tie, taking a last look at himself in the mirror. Adjusting his arm, he nestled his crippled hand against his hip. With growing apprehension, he sensed his wife's impatience in the next room. Composing himself, he walked away from the mirror, turned his back from the door. Holding his breath, he called her through. As soon as the door opened, he spun around to face her. When she first saw him, she took a step back. Jacques felt a painful quake rack his body. She scrutinized the smartly dressed man before her. "My God! Jacques, what have you done? I thought you might like a new man," he replied a little sadly. "So I got a brand new face. Does it suit me?" His voice now sounded as pathetic as a pleading child. "It's a portrait mask. I had a plaster cast taken. Poppy Belrose hammered it from a copper sheet and matched it to my old photograph. This sculptress had indeed done a miraculous job. She had brought the ghost of the debonair captain back to life. Every day disfigured men paraded through her Parisian studio. Day in day out they passed like an army of broken mannequins tossed out of the trenches to be recast and poured into the artist's loving mold. Now his wife ran her finger over his lips. She found at last the fine rim of the mask, concealing the shattered orbital which held the crushed grape of his milky eye. She trembled. "You can't see the join. I may look like a gargoyle, Marie, but I still have the heart of a man." Tears welled in her eyes. "You look just like you used to. There's something else. It's in my breast pocket." His wife slipped her hand into his jacket. As she removed the little book, his heart pumped beneath his shirt, the gentle touch of her fingers arousing his sadness. "What is it? Have a look." The book was titled The Angel and the Gargoyle. "It's a volume of love sonnets I composed for you. I had Monsieur Bernard bind them in crimson lambskin. And that's real gold leaf." She raised her eyebrows in surprise. "And I thought you'd been drinking at Café de la Paix." "Well, that too," he confessed. A pink blush now crept over half his face. "I know I've been acting strange, but I didn't want you to find out." Marie Margaret slipped her arms lightly around his waist and kissed him, kissing him softer than she'd ever kissed him before, kissing him softer than he knew were possible. It was the first time she'd touched him in almost a decade. It felt awkward yet so implausibly tender. "You did all this for me?" "Yes." From the corner of his frozen mouth flickered a faint tremor. It was the tremor of a smile, the very feeling of which made him shiver. It was the first time he'd smiled since volunteering for the Great War. Together, the two of them slipped down onto the floor where his wife sat between his knees, listening to him while he read to her. The broken gargoyle caressed his little angel, and she in turn ran her fingers through his hair. Jacques wiped away his wife's tears. And so kissing, crying, loving in each other's arms, they held one another till the room grew dark and the shadows of evening drove them upstairs to a room they hadn't shared for many years. With his one working arm, the captain clung to his wife. Taking off his tie, Marie Margaret removed her husband's jacket. Unbuttoning his shirt, she stroked her cool hands over his heart. In the darkened bedroom, The powerful light that shone within the gargoyle's grief-stricken eye flared with the incandescence of 1,000,000 wounded angels. Tonight, on Marie Margaret's 30th birthday, they would try to turn that light into a baby and make the monstrous pain of their love fully human.